Good evening and welcome to the first edition of National Sports Magazine in the year 2023. Time to wish you all a very happy new year. I'm your host Nitish for the next 30 minutes of action from the field of sports. In today's program, we are going to pay tribute to the legendary footballer Pele. Today's program is also going to have two segments on the sporting actions domestic and sporting actions international in the year 2023. We'll be talking about Indian hockey, which is at the crossroads. To start with, it's time for My Word. The sports scenario in India is definitely looking very bright and is at an exciting juncture, with legendary athlete P.T. Usha elected as president of the Indian Olympic Association unopposed. The athletes are looking up to her to give them a cutting edge. Lot of fresh talent in athletics is ready to take on the world after the heroics of Neeraj Chopra at the Olympics. There is a belief that we can do it. The sports calendar is chock-a-block with every sport trying hard to hog the limelight. We as a nation have shown a tremendous potential in badminton, table tennis, boxing, shooting, yet we fall short of being the powerhouse in these games simply because right now the right players and the right combinations are available. But what about the future? What about the bench strength? We need to work on the bench strength. For that also, we right now seem to be on the right track with a host of national level competitions like National Games and Khelo India, be it Youth Edition or the University Games. There is a lot to look up to. The Asian Games this year are going to be the litmus test for Indian sports. In cricket, lots of our strategies are going to be tested. Of late, we have shown promise in bilateral series, but when it comes to big tournaments, we tend to choke. In hockey, we are playing host for the World Cup. Overall, year 2023 promises a lot, and we hope that these promises are fulfilled. With this, we start today's program with a tribute to the legendary footballer Black Pearl Pele by Sujay John.
On 29th of December, 11 days after Argentina and Messi lifted the World Cup trophy in Qatar, the focus of the entire world of football shifted towards the unfortunate demise of Edson Arantes do Nascimento, better known as Pele, as the sport parted ways with the only person to ever lift the greatest prize in football thrice. We spoke to Veer, India's roller skating player who is now settled in Argentina. He captured the rise and the demise of the legend Pele.
My name is Valeria. I was born in Santos. As a Brazilian, he elevated our country to a different category. It's an honor for our country to have such a person like him. In addition to being recognized worldwide for his genius, his humility in dealing with people will always be remembered. Despite not being physically with us anymore, our beloved Pele will always remain in our hearts.
Pele sprang to the international limelight in the 1958 World Cup in Sweden, a slight 17-year-old boy who had played soccer barefoot on the streets of his improvised village, which used to roll up fangs and rangs for a ball.
Hi, Rodrigo. In Brazil, Pele is really venerated. When Pele was only a little boy, he used to train with a mango in his backyard. Because of his humble origin, he didn't have money to buy a ball, so he really has to train using a mango. His way of playing, using gingas and dribbling, has to do with dance, samba, something, very strong here in Brazil. Pele moves the one I like the most, and perhaps dear friends from India will like this name, is the famous cow dribbling. Pele did the cow dribbling during the game against Uruguay in the 1970 World Cup, an incredible body movement. The cow dribbling probably emerged in the early years of soccer practice here in Brazil. That was played in the pastures, and players have to dodge the cows that invaded the field. Awesome Pele, eternal Pele.
In his 21-year-old career, Pele scored a world record of 1,283 goals, which was then, and 1,367 professional matches, including 77 goals for the Brazilian national football team.
My name is Rui I'm from Brazil, and I live in Santos, city where Pele became the most famous soccer player in the world. I am Santos Futebol Club fan, and of course, Pele is my most important player in my life. I have the opportunity, the happiness to watch Pele playing. He was fantastic. Pele is not from this world. He is the other planet. There is no other player that did what he did, even playing in other conditions, in other time, where the equipment was different from the equipment today. Even in these conditions, they were amazing. They were fantastic. Pelé is the best.
As for his professional club career, he signed for Santos as a young 15-year-old lad and in no time became one of the record-breaking players after leading the team to many titles. By the time of the 1962 World Cup, Pele was regarded as the best player in the world.
My name is Antonio. I'm from Brazil as well, from Salvador. And what about Pelé to say? Well, he is a symbol of conquest. I remember when I was a kid watching the Football Cup and cheering for their goals. His humility and character were always prominent. He represented and represents still our society around the world very well because, more than a player, he was a human being of superations.
In 1961, the government of Brazil, under President Jânio Quadros, declared Pelé as an official national treasure to prevent him from being transferred out of the country. Pelé ended his career on the 1st of October 1977 in an exhibition match between both his former teams Cosmos and Santos. Here's Keshav Dutt on his opinion about how Pelé had his impact on football.
I think if we talk about football and Pele are synonym to each other. I mean, football is, made so popular by Pele and he's also been awarded. He was declared the national treasure by the Brazilian government and winning 3 FIFA World Cups, 1958, 62 and 70. And has a great impact. And he is a brand ambassador of football, and he gave the hope to the poor people, thinking, yes, if he can do it, we can also do it, becoming such a legendary and icon footballer of the world. And he was also awarded Footballer of the Century. If we talk about football, nothing else comes, just Pele comes into the mind, whether it was a movie made on him, Escape to Victory, or, anything you say in football. That's why he's been called the God. To play like Pele is to play like a god, also known as Black Pearl. Has a great impact on the entire generation after generation. I think even, you ask anyone, if you talk about football, it's Pele, just Pele.
So why was he so popular in India?
If you look at the Brazil itself, we are somewhat similar in many ways. And in India and the Sao Paulo, the club which he used to play for. So, he has even attended that Subroto Cup finals in Delhi. I'm sure you must be aware of it. And people in the rural area is quite popular. You talk about Bengal, you talk about Kerala, you talk about the Madhya Pradesh, UP, Uttarakhand, he has a connect that way, so I think that's one of the reasons. And he was always been humble. You never heard Pele in any wrongdoing or anything, I don't think we have ever heard about Pele that indulging in any, other activity than football. It was easy for people to connect with him.
Thank you so much, Keshav.
We got an opportunity to come in close with Nadi Barua, former Indian footballer and also former coach of the Indian national women's team, on how Pele had an impact on Indian football and his experience with meeting the legend himself.
Basically, we love football. The people from Calcutta, people from south, eastern coast, they were like Pele. And we like also Pele. And the main Pele, one is Brazil team, another is Argentina team. They like Pele because of World Cup football. The Indians fans, 70% they like Pele. Is my opinion. If I say if my father is dead and the rest of family, the head of the family is dead, same thing happened to us also. because he is our motivator, he is our ambassador. I have been in 1995 in Brazil. I got a diploma from Brazil in football. Near about 11 coaches from Asian country. We are there in Rio. That time, first time I see the Pele. He's sitting in the room, but somebody say that Pele is there. I talked to my professor. Actually, I can't speak in Portuguese language, or they can't speak our language. Then I said, please, I want to see the Pele. So it's very difficult task. You can't meet. Just see. But he said, you are as also ambassador. You come for FIFA diploma course. Better I just see, I see, and then I'll let you know. After 10-15 minutes, he just called me and said, please come. Then straight away I go to the room, there's a restroom. The Pele is sitting there. I just see Pele, a tall fellow, big build, and sitting in the chair. And I say namaskar. Just he see me. Then Pele say, I say, sir, I am from India. But he can't understand what I say. Then I talk to my interpreter, please just interpret them. I'm come from India. Then he say, Pele, he is come from India. So Pele say, oh, he's a big country. His language, he's a big country, very big country. And football team must play World Cup. What purpose you come for? He say he come for FIFA diploma course. Then he say, okay, do good football in India, and sometimes I think so. India also play football in World Cup. That's a great moment for me. And another great moment for me, the Maracanã Stadium in Rio, 125,000 people are watching the match against Botafogo versus Flamengo. I see first time that type of craze there in football. So this is for me is a memorable thing. Legendary Pele. So this is good for me, and the football man is Brazil, is my opinion.
Well, thank you so much, Anaditi, and we will soon get in touch with you for many more of your anecdotes on Indian football. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will never know the course football as a sport would have taken in terms of global significance, but had Pele's contribution been removed from history, as Manchester City striker Erling Haaland put it, everything you see in a player who is doing it today, Pele did it first. He was the pioneer, the beginning, and the original. Records will continue to be broken as they are meant to be. There will come players such as Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi from our own time, who may come close and even surpass the levels of the great Pele. But his legacy will live on now and for all time to come. The Black Pearl will continue to sparkle, shine, untouched, unrivaled, and most importantly, undiminished. I completely agree with what Jose Mourinho had to say on Pele. I think Pele is football.
Yes, if there is one footballer who mesmerized the world and changed the entire outlook of football, it was Pele indeed. Legends never die. They will remain embedded in our memories for a lifetime. Thank you, Sujay. We now hand over the mic to Aditya Pimpale with the segment Sports Sections International.
Thank you, Nitish. As we know, 2023, like any other year, will be loaded with big sporting events across the globe, and it won't be long before we see the action down under at the Australian Open.
The Australian Open is only a week away, so strap yourselves in. The tennis action is just starting to hot up.
The first Grand Slam of the year will see big names like Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal back in action. However, the biggest attraction will be the FIH Men's Hockey World Cup that will take place in Odisha from 13 to 29 Jan. An entire nation will pray for the Olympic bronze medalists to end their 48-year drought to be crowned the world champions. India's only world title came in 1975 when they beat arch rivals Pakistan in the final in Malaysia. The ICC Women's T20 World Cup will be next on agenda as the female stars take the spotlight in South Africa, while the Indian Premier League Season 16 is expected to start in March as the cricketing fraternity gets ready for the biggest premier competition. The IPL is set for a big build-up as with an extended format where all the 10 teams will play in home and away format with the competition lasting for more than 2 months. This will be followed by the ICC World Test Championship final in England, where Australia look all set to play in the final, while India and South Africa are locked in a tight race for the second spot in the final. It is worth noting that India played in the inaugural final in 2021, where they lost to New Zealand on the reserve day at the Rose Bowl in Southampton. But it won't be until the latter part of the year when we see the biggest carnival of cricket take place, as the centre stage in India will be the ODI World Cup in October and November in their own backyard. The ICC ODI World Cup will take place in India, with defending world champions England also a firm contender alongside Australia and New Zealand. While the Paris Olympics in 2024 remains a priority for the Indian athletes, the Asian Games in September will serve as the perfect platform for the warm-ups. China's Hangzhou will be the host city for the multi-sport event, with top Indian stars like PV Sindhu. Mary Kom will be the centre of attraction alongside sports like cricket and boxing for the Indian contingent. And if you are a basketball fan, the eyes will certainly be on the NBA playoffs, with the final set to take place in June. The premier basketball competition will surely be on the calendar of many basketball fans. Other big sporting events on offer in the calendar year will include the French Open, Wimbledon and US Open on the tennis circuit, along with the ATP and WTA Tour finals. The year could see either Rafael Nadal or Novak Djokovic script history. While Nadal leads the way for most Grand Slam titles with 22, it is Novak Djokovic who could end the year with a piece of history with his 10th Australian Open title and 8th Wimbledon title to go level with Roger Federer for most titles in men's division. BWF World Championships, Diamond League and World Athletics Championships in September will also be the major attraction in 2023, as Neeraj Chopra tries to go one better than his last effort in 2022. The MotoGP and Formula 1 will also have huge pool of attraction across the globe, and interestingly, one of the MotoGP race will take place in India for the first time ever.
Well, there are lots of exciting events to look forward to in the international circuit. But what about the domestic circuit? Over to Sujay for Sporting Actions Domestic for the year 2023.
While 2022 belonged to the likes of Neeraj Chopra, PV Sindhu, Mirabai Chanu, Lakshay Sen, 2023 holds the hopes for many sporting events and heroes in India. The Indian sports scenario kicks off with a Men's Hockey World Cup to be held in January from 13 to 29, 2023 in Bubaneshwar and all across the cities of Odisha. On the other hand, the qualifying rounds for the National Football Championships Santosh Trophy have also kicked off in different parts of the country. Favourites Goa, Kerala and also Delhi and many other states have also qualified through the qualifying rounds. The big game will be up later in the year, and we'll have to see who wins the title of the national championship. Later this year, also keep your eyes peeled off for Khelo India Youth Games in Madhya Pradesh to be hosted from January 31st to the February 11th. New Delhi will also be looking forward to host the Women's World Boxing Championships. The capital city of Delhi will also get the opportunity to be the center stage for the Asian Wrestling Championships from the 28th of March going on to the 2nd of April. January 2023 will also witness the National Boxing Championships. Prime contenders in the lightweight category would definitely have a big show. The eyes will be riveted on the elite men's National Boxing Championships, and the 2019 World Championship bronze medalist Manish Kaushik looks to have a clash for the title of the country against the seasoned and the rival Shiva Thapa. The Indian University sports calendar has also come alive after nearly 2-year-long hiatus because of the COVID lockdown. After the swimming, athletics, basketball, football and table tennis championships, now we look forward to the individual and other team events that will be held from January to February in the year 2023. The Big Four will be fighting for their place in the Khelo India Youth Games and also the World University Games as who will to represent as the lucky and the wild card for the forthcoming big Olympic Games.
Thank you, Sujay. Lots of action in the domestic circuit as well. I hope that the galleries do not go vacant and the spectators provide as much action as the players in the field. So wherever you are having a competition, please make sure that you reach the venue and give strength to these players in the domestic circuit. So friends, it's time to talk about hockey now, and I'm joined by Sh.Arumugam, founder of NGO 1000 Hockey Legs. Let's talk about the recent developments in the field of hockey as far as Indian teams are concerned.
You see, hockey is a dynamic sport. Our position in men's hockey is 4 to 5 in the world. The women is within the top 7-8 ranks. A sport where more than 100 countries participate. India is in the top bracket in both men's and women's hockey. So naturally, they have to be vibrant, they have to be dynamic. So this year was no different. So they have taken part in the many major tournaments. They have given a very reasonable performance, but the performance is actually related to the expectations. Our expectations have risen by leap and bounds because of the simple reason, our excellent performance in the Tokyo Olympics, where I was also there. It was an excellent thing to see the men and women hockey, both teams showing their skill to a wider audience. So the expectation has risen. To that level, we are not done it. The women started in January with the Asia Cup. They were the defending champion, but they could not defend it. They finished with a bronze medal. But what happened in the year end, as if they understood the people are not happy with that, they came out in a big way. FIH introduced a new tournament called the FIH Nations Cup. If you win that 8-nation tournament, you will be directly qualifying for the Pro League. So now on merit, India will be playing the next year's FIH Pro League. So by winning this FIH Nations Cup, they have won the tournament. They have got this great entry, prestigious entry. The FIH Nations Cup, India did not lose a single match. The final they defeated Spain. Of course, a shootout. You touch a European team to the shootout itself is a good sign.
And defeating Spain in their home turf.
Always beating a host team is a difficult thing. So they have done it. It shows their determination. They are made of nerves of steel.
But this particular news of Indian team, women team winning this Nations Cup, it's a social media which brought up that team wherein the team is very enthusiastic, I think going to a launch of the airport, and this that video clip, clip surfaced. So what do you think, as a nation we are like not giving the due to the players?
No, my answer is mixed one. I will say no also, yes also. But at least I'm happy there is a platform. The social media, the things have come to the light. You see, sports is not in the collective consciousness of the Indian society. It has to spread everywhere. For example, there was a recent World Cup trophy tour. It went to around 28 states it went. But the mainline media, most of them not even aware of it. Don't do like that. Do it professionally. Many people should have been called and did it in a big way.
So you have brought the conversation to that point where we'll be talking about the World Cup hockey which is going to happen in Bubaneshwar. And it's a huge tournament, and I think till date not very many Indians are aware of this.
I agree to that. Sadly, I agree to that. But I think the momentum will pick up in 2-3 days. There are another 10 days. It's going to start.
You said that lots of expectations from the Indian women's team were raised after the Tokyo Olympics. That also puts a lot of pressure on the players. Do we actually have that kind of temperament to raise our tempo of the game to match those expectations? Is it good?
Now, I think, number one, if the sport is played on a national platform and international platforms, there should be expectations. It is better to expect something than ignoring, like as you mentioned in the World Cup. So women hockey has been ignored for decades and decades and decades. The men's, even see, we are hosting the men's World Cup 4th time. We not even host a women's World Cup qualifier. So from that point of view, at least women's hockey is in the knowledge of the people. Now, you can't prevent now from people expecting it. Now the question of how the pressure transform into the Indian team and their performance. Yes, this is a valid question. This is where professionals come into the play. Now you have a scientific advisor, you have a psychologist, there are so many other people, the support staff is there. It's not only national chief coach. There are many other people involved.
It means that we got the script right. Now it is all about the performance.
Yeah.
Now shift the gears and move to the men. We are having the World Cup here, and which is knocking at our doors, and this is going to light up the month of January for sure.
Yeah.
How do you think that we should rate Indian team's chances for this World Cup?
You see, in 12 years' time, we are organizing 3rd World Cup. 2010, 2018, now 2023. This is the 4th World Cup we are organizing. It's a good thing we are organizing. The people will expect India will do something. It did not happen in 81. That was on natural grass. It did not happen. Then 2010, very sorry to say it is that you played 6 matches, but you won only 1 match and drew 1. 2018 was slightly better. The format was changed. You are not given more matches to play. You have to play only 3 matches in the pool. Then you play the quarterfinal. We topped the pool in 2018 under Harendra Singh and Manpreet Singh captaincy. In the quarterfinal, we lost to Netherlands. That was a very close loss. 2-1, we lost the quarterfinal. The people will take note of you when you win knockout stages. Quarterfinal or semi-final. I think this year India should come out well. I believe India can top the pool. If you finish second, most likely you will meet Australia. So be careful.
But how good is this mindset to prepare the team to end up at the top of the pool only to avoid Australia? Because ultimately for the gold, you have to meet that team anyways.
100% I agree. If you meet in the final, that's another thing. You should not lose way on midway through. As far as Australia is concerned, they have been our nemesis. Each country will have one nemesis. Why to take a risk and play Australia? If you can avoid it.
If we look at the pool positioning, I think India is in a better pool.
Certainly. Actually, every pool, if you look at, there are two good teams. So the two teams likely to qualify. The question now, because this you have theoretically taken for granted, these two teams will qualify. Like Argentina and Australia from Pool D. The other pool, Germany and Netherlands. So in our pool, India plus Spain or England.
Let's talk about the constitution of Indian team. We will be playing with a new captain now. How do you think that is going to change the outcome of this particular tournament?
There is actually a good team spirit exist. Manpreet Singh was the captain had a long stint. He is the most capped player even now, 314. Because we have given him enough leadership, now we are luxurious. We can afford to somebody else. So who else can be? It can be Srijesh. But if you take number of matches, he will come less. So other players are there. But he has also been given chance. Like last Asian Games, Srijesh was the captain. So the leadership have been given. Some kind of adjustment now has come. The rotation policy of leadership, it is working well. Because Harmanpreet is also in form, I think he will inspire. Some good things can happen this time.
But there's camaraderie is there in the team, and these players have played together for such a long time. We can say that we have a good unit actually to take up the challenge.
That is because now the players understand what is expectation, what is pressure, and we don't perform. There are another fellow to push me. There are 3 players sitting in the bench. Last 10-12 years, if you look at it, the team has become professional. They have to deliver.
Beyond this World Cup, we are going to have Asian Games this year.
Yeah.
What are the challenges there?
The sport is vibrant and dynamic, and you have to give a result inconsistent with the way Australia is doing. Then you have to have replacements. So nobody should take their place taken for granted. You mercilessly drop the players, generously bring the new blood. Coach also should be given a room to take risk. So they will deliver. There will be a good result in the Asian Games also.
Mercilessly drop the players and generously bring a new talent. That's a great formula. Thank you so much for being part of this National Sports Magazine. And before we end today's edition of National Sports Magazine, I'm joined again by Aditya Pimpale, bringing to you other sports news.
While we said goodbye to 2022, football great Pele passed away at the age of 82. The same day also saw India wicketkeeper Rishabh Pant meet with an accident in Roorkee and was badly injured. However, on the field, the Indian cricket team started on a positive note in 2023, beating Sri Lanka by 2 runs in the first T20I and take a lead of 1-0. But that lead did not last long as Sri Lanka bounced back in Pune to win another thrilling contest to level the series at 1 apiece. With the decider on Saturday 7th of Jan, now the blockbuster game has been set up for a thrilling end. On the other side of the globe, Australia won the Boxing Day Test and look all set for the World Test Championship final in June. In the domestic circuit of the Indian cricket, it was the Kedar Jadhav who missed out on a triple 100 against Assam, scoring 283. Shivam Mavi who became the 100th player to represent India in the T20I format. And if you're an India and Pakistan fan, you don't have to wait for a long period of time for another clash. The Asia Cup 2023 calendar is out as both India and Pakistan are set to collide later this year in another high-octane clash. Also, not to forget, the FIH Hockey World Cup will also be on the menu cards. Listeners can tune in to All India Radio for all the live coverage of India's Hockey World Cup matches, along with the semi-final and the final.
With this, we come to the end of today's edition of National Sports Magazine. National Sports Magazine is brought to you on the first Friday of every month. Until then, it's goodbye from your host Nitish. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.